Hi, I'm Justice Lee. Welcome to Finance with Lee. I'm making this channel because I'm an instructor in the military and I work with very intelligent young men and women every day, and they often ask me, Lee, I have a little bit of money saved up, how should I invest it? They know that I've been very successful with money, and even though they're very intelligent and they're able to learn very high level things, they just haven't learned anything about personal finance or investing. I know I'm not going to be the only channel out there, but they're obviously not getting this information anywhere else. So that's who this channel is for. And if you're watching this and I don't know you, then welcome to the channel, and I hope you can also learn something. I put a lot of time into thinking about making this channel, and I know my production quality is not very high right now, but I'm still going to do my best, and I'm going to cover things like personal finance, real estate, which is my personal favorite type of investing. I'm going to talk about credit cards and using credit card arbitrage. I know that it's not very popular to use credit cards a lot of the times in the personal finance community, but I absolutely believe that if you have the discipline to invest your money and not to spend what you don't need to spend or what you don't plan to spend, then you should absolutely use credit cards to maximize your returns and to maximize what you're able to do. I'm also going to talk a lot about stocks, and I'm going to talk about options trading. Now, I know that options trading and derivatives is kind of something that most people don't like to talk about. I'm not exactly sure why. I know there's some very stock specific channels that will talk about options, but not really in the personal finance channels. So I'm going to talk about options. And why? Because I use them and I love them. There's a lot of different option strategies out there. There's some that are even more conservative than regular long position on stocks. And there's some that are very aggressive, and usually that's why people think options are so dangerous, because there are some very, very aggressive option strategies that are very risky and you can lose your entire investment very, very quickly. But those aren't the types of strategies that I like to use. But I'm going to teach you about everything I know about options, and so then you'll be able to decide whether you want to use that yourself or not. Again, I'm not afraid to take a deep dive on things like real estate, things like option and stocks. I do want to start out with just talking about like the nomenclature and all the different verbiage that gets used in the finance community. A lot of the terms that are used aren't really commonly spoken, and I think a lot of people would have a lot better understanding if they just knew what all the words meant. But I will take a very deep dive on things like real estate, options, and just regular stock trading. And I'm also going to go pretty deep on credit cards, and I'll show you what kind of credit cards I use and why I use them, and what kind of benefits you can get by having them. And I know that not everyone is going to subscribe to all of my investment advice. Some of it you're probably going to think isn't for you, and that's fine. Everybody's a little different. But even though you might not subscribe to my advice, please subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to put out a lot of content, and I'm going to tell you a lot of things, and I'm going to try to just load you up with information, and the more you know, the more equipped you'll be to make a great decision with your own financial future. So I do want to clear one thing up. You need to get out of debt first. If you're in debt, that should be the first thing you tackle, and I'm not going to be really talking about how to get out of debt or anything like that. So I'm not Dave Ramsey, but he might be a good person to look into if you're in debt. I'm for the person who is already out of debt or has never had any debt and is looking to invest money and knows how to manage their finances, at least such that they're not living above their means. I'm going to get into maybe a little bit of that side of it, but for the most part, I'm going to be talking to people who have the means to start investing, and that's going to be my target audience, because that's quite frankly the people that are asking me every day, hey, I have a little bit of money, what should I do with it? So that's where I'm going to focus my time. So I know this is an introductory video, but I decided that I'm going to throw my first tip in right here, and that is everyone is different, and everybody obviously is going to have a little bit different strategy when it comes to investing, and that's the way it should be because no one is the same. But there is one thing that I think everybody needs to have to be successful as an investor, and that is discipline. I know discipline is an easy word to say, but it's very important, and it's harder to do than it is to say. What's very important is that you have a metric to determine for yourself whether you're disciplined enough to actually start investing. Because what you don't want to have happen is you get yourself out of debt and you're on the right path, but then you start investing the money and you don't really know if you are going to have the discipline to carry that forward. And so one metric that I would recommend is if you have money set aside and you already have an emergency fund in a savings account, is to take the money that you're planning to invest for 6 months straight and just put that in an account. Whether you open up a bank account for that or whether you open up a brokerage account for that, you need to set that money in there. Do not invest it. Wait for 6 months. If for that entire 6-month period you can save that money and you don't increase your lifestyle, if you're using credit cards, you don't put more money on your credit cards than you plan to spend. But if you can have every penny you plan to invest still there and you haven't needed it at all, then it might be time for you to invest. Because if you get into a situation where you need the money but you don't have it because it's invested, if those investments have lost value, which is very likely because usually you're taking risk when you invest and you're taking that risk so that you can get a larger reward. But if you end up needing that money and it's worth less, you're going to have to sell those investments at a loss. It's going to hurt. It's probably going to make you have a bad taste in your mouth about investing, and it may be a lot more difficult in the future to get into it. So you need to start yourself out on the right foot and make sure that you know exactly how much money you're spending every month, exactly how much you have to invest, exactly how much savings you have, and whether that amount of savings is adequate. And then once you have all those things under your belt, then it's time to start investing. So that's just my first tip. I know it's very easily said and not very easily done, but take it for what it's worth, and please try to do that before you start investing, because I don't really want anybody to have a bad experience. I want everybody to have a great experience investing so that they are more likely to continue on and become wealthy. And I know this is a little bit weird, but I do use a little slideshow, so my computer's right in front of me. You've probably seen me clicking, maybe looking down. It's just to help me organize my thoughts and kind of get this out there. I just have a few words about, each subject that I'm planning to talk about. And I'm hoping to get better to where I don't need the slideshow at all. Maybe I can just talk about everything, but I tend to kind of lose track of what I was going to say. So this is just to help me. Please bear with me. I know my production quality in these videos isn't very high, but I'm trying to get better. And if I see a lot of interest in this video, then I'll try to make it as good as I can so that hopefully I can attract as many viewers as possible, which will allow me to get my message out there more and more, because I think that having a firm financial foundation and being able to invest money for your future is very important. And this channel isn't about me making money on YouTube. This channel is about me helping people set themselves up for their future, and that's my goal. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day.